Okay. Now we'll see if that works as well. No issues on locals on Firefox Mobile. Well, that's pretty good. Locals Android. It's speed test to be sure. So you should be having plenty of speed, Tim. Again, locals is just now getting all their live streaming setups. Like when we've done these before, we've actually used the old locals interface, which just was a which was just a webcam interface, right? It was just webcam, simple, old school live streaming, and that is obviously very limiting. So now I can actually stream with the broadcasting software through an RTMP streaming server properly. But this isn't rolled out to every locals community just yet, and so there might be bugs. We'll see. We'll play around with it a little bit. I'm gonna click a couple of things here. All right. So we're up on YouTube. We're up on locals. Now let's get up on Rumble. Let's do it. Let's go for the trifecta, right? Because why not? I mean, almost everyone's over on locals, but let's bring everyone in. Let's bring in the whole kit and caboodle. All right, go live. All right, create a new Rumble live stream. All right. I don't need a placeholder. All right, let's click on this. Beep boop. All right. Banging on those keyboards. All right. What do we need here? Categories. Oh, I don't know. Let's do technology. Second category. Oh, man. I can do Baldur's Gate 3 as a category. No. All these second categories are like our video game things. I don't care about it. Let's do tech reviews. Why not? That's a second category. Stream as me. No tags. All right. Make the recording. All right. I want to go live right now. Sure, I'm going live right now. Yeah, I agree to these terms and conditions. Yes. Yes, I do. I agree to these terms and these conditions. All right. Get streamer configuration. All right. Here we go. All right, so let's add the Rumble. We're adding this in, baby. We're doing this. You guys are hanging out with me while I do this. Add new target. All right, that's the URL for me. And then here's my stream key for Rumble. Yes, it is. Yes, you're my stream key. Rumble, that's the one. Okay. And then we are going to start Rumble. All right, so now in theory, we are live streaming on all three platforms. We're on all three platforms. We, the people, are on all three platforms. I'm going to go double check this. So we should be up on rumble.com/Lunduke. Oh my gosh, we are. We are on rumble.com/Lunduke. And we are up on YouTube. Oh my gosh, we are on YouTube. We are totally on YouTube right now. And we are up on locals. All right. You didn't realize Lunduke looked like a mafia boss now. Oh, I'm sorry. I do a little bit. All right. I wonder how many folks will actually look at this on the other channels. Because let me pull up this on YouTube over here on my phone for a second. I don't really use YouTube hardly at all. Let's bring this up. Does it even show up for people? Shoot, I don't know. Oh, it does. It does. It shows up. All right. Look at that. It shows up. How fancy. Good enough. Well, this is what I wanted to test. I wanted to test and see if this was going to work. And that clearly, there's at least some people on YouTube. There's at least someone. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. Loving it. Loving it. All right. So I had a couple of things I wanted to talk about. We'll see. This should record everywhere. This should record on YouTube. It should be recording locally. It should record on Rumble. And it should record on Locals. And that's pretty darn awesome. That's a pretty darn awesome thing. I'm excited about all of that. I'm going to let people know that we're hanging out here because, well, that's just a lot of fun. Let's go ahead and let folks know. Where should we let folks know? We should let folks know on the tweeters and over on the old Substack or something. Oh my gosh, I am live. What? That's a pretty solid thing to post. A lot of people really like that wording. I'm watching the YouTube feed through NVIDIA's. Audio's fine. Video is choppy as everything. Fascinating. Hey, Tim and Jay Kugler, go check out the YouTube channel or the Rumble channel. Rumble is rumble.com/Lunduke and YouTube is YouTube something or other. I don't know. I'm the Lunduke YouTube channel. I don't know what the URL is. I never tell anyone to go to YouTube anymore. I don't know where it's at. But go let me know if it's choppy over on the other platforms or if it's just a local server thing. Well, let's figure this out. Click on that, and then boom, I sent a thing. That was beautiful. I sent a thing. Love it. Loving it. It seems to work best through the Locals mobile apps. YouTube feeds look perfect, but I ain't watching there on principle. Good man. Yeah, okay, so I did a test here. It seemed like on the Locals app it was working good, which is the only thing I've tested so far, and on Locals. I haven't tested the website. YouTube looked fine, and Rumble looked good. Those all seem to be more or less A-okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and go over here to let's go let people know on the Substack. Let's let the Substack chat know. Hey, that's a great idea. Oh my gosh, I am live streaming on Locals, Rumble, and YouTube. There we go. All right. We let people know. Beautiful, beautiful. So the YouTube video is a few seconds behind. That kind of makes sense. So what I'm doing here is I'm using an OBS plugin, and it's kind of funky that lets me target to multiple outputs, but it takes the Locals one as the primary, and then you basically copies that data and sends it to whatever other RTMP streams that I designate. So in theory, it should work for any sort of streaming service that I want to send it to, which is pretty cool. I mean, that's a pretty cool thing to be able to actually do that here. It's not choppy on YouTube. People over on YouTube are saying, I think it's just on the website and just on Locals. I think otherwise we're A-okay. All right, that's fair. Well, we can kind of get started. If there's anyone that has any questions, this is really casual. We're just hanging out and relaxing here. Let me put this off to the side here so I can see everyone's chat. There we go. That looks pretty good. If you have questions, let me know. What I wanted to talk about today is something that I made a post about. Let me move this way a little bit. Oh, hey, look, there's stuff on the wall behind me. That's neat. I made a post earlier about the future of tech journalism, and I wanted to talk about this a little bit more because I've been talking with a bunch of different tech journalists, YouTubers, podcasters, young Colonel Sanders. At least I'm young Colonel Sanders. I've got a little bit of gray. I'm kind of excited for the whole thing going gray. I think gray beards are cool. And so I'm kind of looking forward to it all going gray. I feel like gray beard plus my Hawaiian t-shirt thing that I've been rocking lately, I figure, it'll be just right. So I've been talking to, the people I've had on my show, plus a lot of other folks, about where tech journalism is right now. And it's not a great state. I mean, we've dived into, divinated into this topic a bit over the last, I don't know, however many months we've been talking about it. I mean, there's problems with AI, that's been an issue. There's problems with big tech influence, that's been an issue. There's problems with an overabundance of advertising, which is just annoying. And then there's the problem with the advertisers simply causing the journalists, the YouTubers, etc., to change the content that they would otherwise be producing. That's another problem. And then there's the whole bag of problems with all the people that still are just on YouTube, and they just won't leave YouTube. But YouTube is making them less and less money. The advertising is just going through the floor, right? So the YouTubers who were reliant on the ads to provide a free thing can't anymore. I mean, it's making less and less money. They cannot rely on the content they produce, even if they literally have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of loyal viewers. That's insane. You go to a cable network. If a cable network has 100,000 loyal viewers, yeah, you can have a whole company around that. A whole company. A whole gosh darned company. And the fact that you can't do that, at least not effectively on YouTube anymore, is a massive problem. A massive, massive, overwhelming problem. Plus, they're silencing people, and they're demonetizing people. And they're adding in new programs that are making it even harder for them to make a living off of the ads that already treat the viewers like cattle. It treats people like the product, the viewers like the product. And I hate that. And so it's problem after problem. It's the problems that many of us have been talking about for years, but it's exacerbated right now. And there needs to be a fundamental shift. There just must be a change. There's not a choice in the matter anymore. We have to effect a serious, significant change in the way tech journalism operates. And I'm talking articles, podcasts, YouTubers, or video creators, all of it, across the spectrum. Because it's all going to hell in a handbasket. And there's only a few little bright spots here and there. Now, over the last couple years, we have attempted to kickstart and bootstrap the Lunduke Journal. And a lot of you have really helped make that possible. You've become subscribers, you've sent in ideas, you've helped spread the word, you've been amazing. And over that time, we've been able to be completely big tech free. Completely. We've made some mistakes along the way. I've had some stumbles where we've tried new things. We've experimented with different services. We've tried different styles. We've done all sorts of things to see what works because there was nobody to copy. We were kind of blazing a new trail. And I mean, there's been plenty of creators and writers and whatnot who have had subscription services before, but there wasn't your tried and true tech journalists that you could really point to as saying that's what they were doing, and they were doing it completely free from big tech. That wasn't a thing. Certainly not anything professional. So, but now we've gotten to a point where we've done it. We've actually accomplished it. We've pulled this off. And it's time to start helping other people do the same. I've been talking to everyone who's been on my show. I've talked to them about this, along with about a dozen other creators, YouTubers, writers, mostly just YouTubers and writers with one or two podcasters. And I've been trying to talk to them about the problems that they're facing, because all of them are facing really significant problems, all the stuff we just talked about. But all of them are scared to make a change. The people who are on YouTube are no longer earning a good living on YouTube, and their new subscriptions or new subscribers are plateaued or dropping. and they're earning less money per view, and their views are going down, and the algorithm is burying them. So what do we do? What do we do in order to fix that? Well, we got to get them off of YouTube, but they're scared. They're scared to get off of YouTube. They're afraid that if they get off of YouTube, no one will come and find them ever again, because that's the discovery mechanism. That's how they think. They think that's the discovery mechanism. It's YouTube. So we've just got to wait. We've got to stay on YouTube and just hope it gets better, and maybe complain into the cloud. It's old man yelling at cloud, because there's no way to get a hold of YouTube. Not really. YouTube used to have this thing where you would have a single contact at YouTube, and they would be responsible for interfacing with a set number, a couple dozen of the big channels. We used to have a person that was our liaison type person, and they had that for a couple years. But they got rid of those people. I mean, even some of the biggest channels, even channels with 500,000 subscribers that get crazy numbers of views every day, the best they can do is hop on Twitter, tag YouTube, and hope to heavens someone responds to them. And they usually don't. They usually don't. And it sucks. It absolutely, really, really sucks. So what do we do? Hold on a second. I'm gonna say hi to my locals channel. I'm streaming in 3 places, so this is kind of interesting. So what do? We have to show them with hard numbers, hard data, a specific roadmap, and a case study where it works. And all we've got is more or less me. And they keep coming back to me with a couple of things. They have 2 key concerns. 2. And the first concern is really easy for me to solve with them. The first concern is if I leave YouTube, how on earth will people find me? How on God's green earth will new people come and find my channel? And I've shown them that if they leave YouTube, whole new people will find you. And you'll still bring over some of those people from YouTube. And you don't have to completely ditch YouTube. Like I kind of did, right? Like I still have my YouTube channel. Hi, YouTube people. But I post so little stuff on YouTube. You guys on YouTube right now, man, you get the shaft. And I put very little stuff on YouTube. It all goes over on locals. But you don't have to do it that way. They don't have to do it that way. They can publish all their stuff to YouTube, but be like, hey, it goes first, and it's ad-free, and you're not being tracked by Google, and you're not treated like cattle if you go over to locals or Substack or any of a number of different platforms. There's many, many options for people, and so it's fairly easy for me to address that concern. That's their number one thing. The second thing is their whole source of revenue has been ads via Google in YouTube. That's their whole source of revenue for 9 out of 10 of them. And so their thinking is, I'm going to ditch my source of revenue and move to a platform that doesn't have ads at all. Well, how many people actually will subscribe? How many people will actually put a few dollars per month into the kitty in order to keep this sort of thing going? And what's amazing is, I mean, if the content is good and it's worth watching, it's worth paying for. And I think that's a concept that a lot of people, I think that's a concept that a lot of creators and a lot of just general people just don't intrinsically think about. If something's worth watching and it's good, you pay for it somehow, whether it's your time with ads or your dollars, right? One or the other. Those are the 2 real options you've got. And with the model I've gone with, I've selected to say no ads, it's just dollars, right? But that's terrifying for people because there's a barrier to entry there. And that freaks people out who have been on YouTube for years. I mean, I'm sure all of you have YouTubers that you dig that have been there for years and earn their living off of ads. So even when YouTube starts screwing things up like they are right now, and their revenue from ads keep dropping way down, they're afraid to leave because that's all they've ever known. And they think people won't pay the dollars. And I mean, like great examples, like are some of the podcasters and YouTubers that are out there, right? Like, if you think of your favorite ones, like your 2 or 3 that you just love over on YouTube, and if they were on a non-YouTube platform and you could give them a couple dollars and get all their content in an ad-free way, and it gives them, not only does it allow them to earn more money so that they can make more content, so you get more content, but you get more access to them, you don't get advertised to, you don't get your data sold off to the highest bidder every other Tuesday. Well, I think a lot of you are like me. You plop down a couple of bucks. So like I'm sitting over here on Locals right now, and some of you are over on Locals either watching the live stream or watching the recording of this, and maybe over on Rumble too. I'm on all 3 right now. It's crazy town. And I think you guys are all the same way, and I want to support more of these creators in that way. I would like to take my own money and put $5 on this creator and $5 on that creator. Like, for example, over the last couple of weeks, I had Chris Fisher, Jupiter Broadcasting, and Chris Titus from Titus Tech on the show. If they were on Locals, I would absolutely drop them $5 a month, right? And I know for a fact that a bunch of you would too. And they're not there to do that too. They're not there to show them that support. And I think there are hundreds, if not thousands and thousands of us that would be there to do that. Titus has 400,000 subscribers over on YouTube. Some of his videos regularly gets, tens of thousands, sometimes even hundreds of thousands of views. So let's say a tiny, minuscule, itty-bitty fraction of those people think, you know what? I just spent a half hour of my time watching a Chris Titus video. I do that twice a week. That is worth $5 a month. Or let's say they get a yearly subscription on Locals for $45, which makes it work out to, I don't know, like $4 a month, something like that. That's not much, right? I mean, we're talking, McDonald's cheeseburger level here. I think even if a fraction of his audience went over to Locals, the amount of money he would make off of subscriptions alone would be hugely larger than what he's currently earning off of advertising revenue on YouTube. And it doesn't even mean he needs to get rid of YouTube. He just simply needs to branch out. As someone over on Richard over on YouTube just made the point that this is probably why Linus Sebastian started Floatplane as a backup plan. And that's very true. I mean, Floatplane is basically a paid subscription service, right? A paid DVR service for them and a few other creators. Now, Floatplane doesn't work really great for me because of the feature set. But the idea is sound. It's a perfectly viable option for many creators to go to. In fact, when Linus launched Floatplane, he and I talked about me coming over to Floatplane. I talked about going there exclusively for a while, but the feature set just didn't make sense to me. Like, I ended up on Locals because I publish articles and PDFs and videos, and I wanted to be able to do all of that, and I wanted the community around it, and the feature set was there. Floatplane just didn't have the feature set, still doesn't. But for some people who just need a drop-in YouTube replacement to have a subscription service for the videos, it totally works. It 100% would work. Same with Substack. Substack would work for them. But the problem they keep running up against is there's not a lot of examples where someone has said, this is how I do it, right? Now, what's great is I, for better or worse, and there's a lot of good reasons to think this was a mistake on my part, I gave up YouTube, right? Like, hi YouTube, but I mean, more or less, like I post a tiny fraction of stuff to YouTube, and I've gone months at a time without sending stuff to YouTube. Maybe that was a mistake. But because of that, I can point to the numbers I've gotten and say I did this all without YouTube. I did this all without the discovery of YouTube. I did this all without any of that stuff. I simply moved over to another platform. Part of my audience came with me. Some of my audience found me after the fact, and I set up somewhere else. I set up over on Locals in this case. But I've been trying different platforms and different approaches for a while now. Cryptocurrency tipping systems, Patreon and Substack and all sorts of things until I really found what works for me. And so now what we've got is a case study where we can go to all of the greatest of our favorite YouTubers and journalists and everyone else. And we've got a case study where we can point to them and say, this is how you can do it. This is how it works. You can be completely big tech free, 100%. You can go without ads. You can go without the tracking. You can go without taking any sponsorship money from big tech. You can go without being impacted by the YouTube algorithms and the like. Like right now, we're streaming on YouTube, but not as the primary platform. The primary platform is over at lunduke.locals.com, as always. And so I think that may be the right way to go. I think maybe for me and probably for all these people who make so much of their livelihood for years now on YouTube, and it's just becoming an increasingly a big problem. Blue Metal says, I still use YouTube, but I'd rather see Rumble take over. I kind of agree with that. I think Rumble is a better platform in a lot of ways. But what I really like, and this is a model that I've been watching recently, and it's just so super smart, what Russell Brand is. My eye was itching. What Russell Brand has been doing. Right, the comedian Russell Brand, he does political talk, and he's got his podcast, and he does a lot of stuff. Some of it's very funny, some of it's not. I've watched it occasionally when he's had a certain guest on, and what he does is brilliant. He says, "Okay, I'm gonna go live and live stream. When I go live, I'm gonna live stream on Locals first and foremost, then Rumble, then YouTube," right? And he goes live on YouTube for a limited amount of time, and he says, okay, after a while, he says, bye YouTubers, and he turns off the YouTube stream. And so then everyone on YouTube, if they want to keep watching the show, they either got to go to Rumble or Locals. And then he does the full rest of the show on Rumble. And then at the end of it, he's like, all right, I'm going to go hang out on Locals now for the next hour or whatever. And we'll do a live Q&A or meditate or whatever the heck it is he's doing, right? And then he heads over to Locals. So then everyone ends up heading over to Locals to hang out, and they get the community experience. They get the better experience of the end user experience anyway. And it's just it's a fascinating way to approach it. Now, I don't inherently disagree with anyone using. Crowder does the same thing. There's quite a few that are increasingly doing that, and a lot of them are moving over to Locals. But a lot of these guys are very political, right? So I've done it over on Locals, and while I do have a political Locals area, that's not my main thing, right? That's my outlet. That's my political outlet. I keep lunduke.locals.com politics free, so it's pure tech 99.9 into infinity % of the time, which means we can use that as a case study. And we need to get the message out to people that this that this needs to be the way forward. So what I'm asking from all of you, if you are with me on this, if you believe that this is the right course of action to get these people off of these platforms, I personally think locals is the great way to go, but that's not the only option out there. Floatplane, Substack, just purely on Rumble. There's many options. There's many options. And I'm trying to be honest with people about those options. I'm telling them about all the problems and the benefits I've seen. I saw a lot of good benefits on Substack and on Patreon. I don't like Patreon. I don't use Patreon anymore. Same with Substack. I don't use Substack anymore for other than honestly telling people to get off of Substack and get over to locals. That's mostly what I post over to Substack at the moment. But there are reasonable options like those ones that people could move to that wasn't locals. But now imagine this. Imagine this. How great would it be if there were some of the best of the countercultural to say open sourcey, privacy respecting journalists, the tech journalists that are gonna stick it to the man, that are gonna hold the power accountable, if they were on a place like locals together, because we could all help each other. We could all promote each other, right? I've been able to achieve a certain level of success on locals despite there being essentially no tech locals. There's nothing really else like me on locals. Certainly not of any decent size. And it's very political. But what would it be like? What could we accomplish? What would happen if Chris Titus and Rob Braxman and Jupiter Broadcasting and a few others all moved over to locals and we were all just in one spot? We were all in one spot. We all brought in our own audiences and we were all self-promoting each other, self-promoting ourselves and promoting each other. We would do spectacularly well. And we would have a freedom-respecting, ad-free, big tech-free, and I think that's a critical bit, platform where we would have a very good shot at long-term success. And I think that would be fantastic. I truly think that would be an amazing thing, and I think we need to get there. So what I'm trying to ask people, and this is an ask. I'm literally asking you to do these two things because I genuinely believe this is, for nerds, one of the biggest issues we have right now. Tech journalists is going in a bad way. We need to fix it. And how we need to fix it is we need to get people onto platforms like this. And it's I recognize that not everyone is comfortable ponying up bucks for a subscription, but I'm asking people to do it. I'm not asking for people who already subscribe to subscribe more. But if you don't currently subscribe at lunduke.locals.com, go do it right now. Because you just get the cheapo monthly, the yearly if you plan to be a nerd for more than 9 more months, because you get 3 months free with the year, so you might as well. Anyway, it's cheaper to do that. But we can point at those numbers. Because lately I've been having these conversations. I have had lengthy conversations with all these guys. After we recorded the show yesterday with Rob Braxman, he and I talked for about an hour afterwards about all of this stuff and the issues he's facing. And he's not alone. It's every YouTuber is facing it. And the problems that the written journalists are facing is a whole different ball of potatoes, a ball of rotten, awful potatoes. It's terrible. I mean, a real, legitimate written word tech journalists are making less and less money, and it's crazy. It's crazy. But if they came over to locals, it could work. And I'm trying to show them those numbers. So they come at me and they're like, okay, what are your numbers at? What was your conversion ratio? And I'm pretty open with them. And they want to know, like, what's the continued growth like? And I kind of am open with them about that. The bigger the subscription numbers are, the easier the sell is. And it's not because we're trying to convince them to do something that is, against their interest. We don't want to do that. We absolutely don't want to do that. We want to provide the knowledge that the option of getting out of the shackle of big tech is there. Here is the case study. Here is how I did it. Here is how you following what I did benefits you and benefits every other tech journalist that does something similar, right? I'm a firm believer in a rising tide raises all ships. You'll notice lately that I've been trying to make a point of promoting some of the independent thinkers in the technology space. Not the people who just do just an average unboxing, or the folks that do some sort of a review of the latest Surface laptop, which I'm sure is very, very interesting. But the people who are putting forth something legitimately interesting, like Titus comes out there and he comes out with his Windows Universal crazy script of awesome, and he comes at it from this very particular point of view that isn't my point of view, but is interesting. And Rob Braxman, he doesn't have my point of view either. We agree on some things, but he's interesting, right? And I'm trying to promote these guys because at the moment, all of these journalists, all of these creators, video creators, writers, podcasters tend to live in their own little bubbles. And they do their shows, and a lot of times they're amazing. They write their articles, and sometimes those articles are pretty gosh darn good. But they don't get out of that space. And so they bring up, and John Blood just posted this. Over on lunduke.locals.com. I think discoverability is the greatest issue. Most of the time when I try to check out new locals, I have to create an account. If I could see it without having to goof around with a new account, that would lead me to looking at more locals. Yes. Actually, this is kind of interesting. So I had the same complaint about locals. I went to the CEO of locals and talked about it, and they added a new feature. If you open up a web browser that is not logged into locals and go to lunduke.com, that will auto forward you to a very specific URL, right? And it basically a specific landing page that is a article view that sort of emulates the Substack main default page, where it's got the articles, some of the most viewed articles, and some of the latest articles, and all of that together, and then down below videos and whatnot. And I did this because I wanted to have a place to send people to be like, here's a quick high level of some of the content, some of my biggest, most successful content, which their code for choosing which ones were most viewed is a little off. But whatever, it shows them some decent articles and shows them the latest ones. And so they can say, oh, well, here's some other stuff that these people post. And so Locals is adding some more functionality in like that right now. And then the other issue is discoverability on current platforms. So like if people are on YouTube and they're trying to get the word out about their account on YouTube, and they're trying to get more people to subscribe to their YouTube channel, man, click that bell and all that sort of thing. The algorithm is working less and less well nowadays. So people who have, like Chris Titus, has always done a great job of gaming the algorithm. He and I have had long conversations about this because I don't do that. I've never gamed the algorithm. I don't like the algorithm. The algorithm annoys me, and I don't like the word algorithm. So I just don't worry about it. But he and a lot of other YouTubers do a great job of really analyzing how the YouTube algorithm has worked in the past to make sure that they get in front of as many YouTube viewers as possible. And that's always been a very interesting approach. Nowadays, it's working less and less well. In fact, for some people, it's just out and out not working at all, and their channels are not growing anymore. What you can do is word of mouth. And I firmly believe in going old school here. I am curating and trying to show for people who are making interesting content, right? People who are legitimately getting out there and making truly, truly interesting content and promoting them. Now, we can talk about YouTube algorithm issues and other things, but imagine this. Imagine this scenario. Chris Titus, Rob Braxman, Jupiter Broadcasting, Lunduke, and I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 others all band together and say, you know what? We all do our own thing. We all do our own thing in our own way. Let's make a point of promoting each other. Once a week, let's, post something. Let's say we all congregate on Locals, totally get rid of every other platform, and once a week, drop stuff. Drop little links to our shows on each other's local sites. And that's it. What would happen? Well, we'd all grow a lot. And then all of the word of mouth that reaches outside of Locals, the forums, the social media, the email threads, the actual literal talking to human beings word of mouth, where it promotes one of those channels, one of those local sites, ultimately slowly trickles down to all the rest. A rising tide raises all ships. And this is something that is sorely lacking right now. It is sorely lacking. Mr. T. Solar says, like and subscribe is a phrase I can go the rest of my life without hearing again. Yes. Yes, my God, yes. Oh, heavens, yes. But see, I feel like we're at a critical tipping point. And if we don't make this change within the tech journalism world, there is going to be a very small handful of us left. I'm going to still be here. I'm going to still be here because I made the move, and it was painful, and I made many mistakes in the process. But I pulled it off, in part because of all of you. But a lot of the other people who are putting out interesting content, who have really, really interesting things to say, they're not going to be around. Because the YouTube ad revenue is tanking. The YouTube algorithm is exposing them less and less. The problems with YouTube censorship are shooting through the roof. The written publications are increasingly mostly using AI content. It's over 50% now. And we're talking tech publications, all the big ones. And the ones that are there are paying their writers less and less and less. They're getting rid of them. All, and I mean all, of the currently existing Linux publications do not pay anything. Nothing. They do free. There's a handful of employees that get paid peanuts to put things together, edit things, and do the publishing. The writers are all volunteers at this point. Linux Journal shut down years ago now. It is going to get bad. It's going to get really bad. And then what happens is we don't have anyone thinking critically. We don't have anyone doing the investigative journalism. We don't have anyone looking into what is Wikipedia doing with all their money, right? We don't have that anymore. All we have are, hey, ChatGPT, write me an article about how Wikipedia has finances. What does that crank out? Well, it's probably going to pull information from the Wikipedia website about Wikipedia and then rewrite it in its own ChatGPT words. And then a very low paid entry level, just out of school and not all that familiar with the tech industry editor is going to massage it a little bit, create a bit of artwork for it, probably using an AI engine, and hit the post button. That's what we're going to get for written content. That's not some sort of crazy conspiracy theory. That is happening right now, and it's increasingly happening. There's no way around it. So what do? Number one, we must remove all reliance on big tech. Doesn't mean we can't use big tech. Doesn't mean people can't use YouTube as a discovery mechanism. Upload clips there, do live streams there, whatever. Sure, use it. Doesn't mean we can't use Twitter or even Facebook as discovery mechanisms. But where we are posting our content, our core of where all of our articles and our videos and our podcasts are and how we're monetizing it needs to fundamentally change. Not how I do it, but how everyone else is doing it. And it's going to be a real problem. And they all know it's a problem. And that's the thing, is every single podcaster, YouTuber, and whatnot I've talked to agrees this is a problem. It is really screwing things up for them. And some of them are looking at just getting out of it entirely because it's going so poorly. How crazy is that? How crazy is that they're looking, incredible people, incredible nerds are looking at getting rid of, at stopping being in the tech journalism industry because of this, instead of just changing the way they monetize it, essentially. That's what we're talking about here. And it's doable. But in order to make this happen, we need to talk to them about it. We need to convince them of it. And so I've been talking to them increasingly more and more. I'm trying to share with them as much data as I can. I'm showing them my data. I'm showing them the mistakes I've made so that they don't repeat my mistakes, right? Because I was walking down that trail. I didn't have anyone to follow when I went down some wrong paths. But I got it figured out eventually. And luckily, all of you stuck with me as I was figuring all this stuff out. And in addition, we also need to grow the total number of people that subscribe actively to tech journalism, not on the big tech platforms. Now, that could mean Substack. If there are tech writers on Substack that you like, subscribe to them. There's at least one or two watching this video stream right now, and they're worth subscribing to. And over the coming days, I'm going to be putting together a list of writers, podcasters, journalists, and the like that are on non-big tech platforms that are worth tossing a few dollars to, or at the very least having free subscriptions to. Yes, John Blood, I will not forget you. Computer ads from the past.substack.com. I was in fact thinking of you. There are plenty of them, and some of them are small and part-time, and some of them increasingly are trying to be full-time. But they deserve that support, and there's not that many. There really is not that many. Sorry, I'm reading for a second. I've got some interesting messages coming in. So Tim Apple actually suggested had a really nice little thing here. So Tim Apple says, if a bunch of people jump onto locals, right, a whole bunch, does it not eventually just become a big tech platform? No. So this is by design. This really is by design, and I think. Computerdesign.locals.com. Our very own Dirt runs that one. That's fun. It doesn't. And here's why. Here's why. Everything in Locals is its own thing, right? Locals is more like a hosting company, right? So it's no more big tech than, say, if you ran, put up on, Linode, your servers where you host your podcast. Is your podcast now big tech because it's hosted by Linode, and will they use big tech infrastructure for a lot of it? No, it's not. Locals is more of a hosting and administration company. When you create a Locals, it is yours. It's like a country club, right? It's a walled garden in the very real sense, and that's not a bad thing. A silo can be a good thing. It doesn't always have to be a bad thing. It can be a bad thing, but in this case, it's a good thing. Because what you have is, I do like to think of it like a country club. If you have a friend there, you can go visit, you can see what they're like, right? You can go check it out. But in order to do much of anything there, you got to pitch in a few bucks. You got to pay your country club dues, right? There's no algorithm in Locals, right? There's no advertising in locals. There's no data mining in locals. We're not, right? You people subscribe to me on locals. That doesn't get exported to a big spreadsheet and sold off to Cambridge Analytica and various other Facebook subsidiaries and whatnot. That just doesn't happen. And it's not only that it just doesn't happen currently, it doesn't happen at all, and it's by design. As soon as it started happening, it would kind of ruin the whole thing about locals. And why that's interesting is the people that founded locals use it, right? So like locals was founded by people who wanted to have this exact service for their show, for their communities and whatnot. And all those people are still using it and using it to make their living beyond just running locals, right? And so the moment that happens, the founders of the company, the people who generally run the company most days, well, to a certain extent, I mean, a lot of people just work on locals, but a lot of the people, well, they wouldn't want to use their own thing anymore, and their whole public persona would take a hit, right? Their reputation would take a hit. It's set up in such a way that it just doesn't make sense for it to be a big techish platform. So insofar as any sort of service like this is set up to not be big tech, locals is set up that way. Now, this is actually a really important point, because Substack has a lot of the same features as locals, but it's not. They're trying to go the opposite direction. Whereas on locals, your locals is a country club. Substack is trying to make it go into the point where it's more like a YouTube for written work plus, videos and podcasts and stuff. But there's lots of sharing. There's now their locals notes, which is their Twitter-ish service, which has an algorithm for what you see. Excuse me. That was delicious, by the way. That was a good dinner I just burped. I highly recommend that dinner. I had some Cajun sausages this evening. That was tasty. But Substack is kind of going that way, right? Now, is Substack big tech? No, they aren't right now. They're not big tech. But the way they're designed, yes, they could, if they got big enough, go that way. I don't think they will anytime soon. I honestly don't. But could they? Yeah. Yeah, they could. Get Louis Rossman on. Louis and I are talking. I should say, so we've had a lot of good guests. Today alone, we've had Rob Braxman and Andreas Kling on the show. Fantastic. If you haven't watched, if those of you who are in YouTube, go over to lunduke.locals and grab those things. It's fantastic. Next week, oh baby, I will be announcing at the end of this week the lineup for next week. The week after is almost set. There's one I'm really trying to lock down. He's not sure if he can do that one, but I'm trying to really lock down the one for the week after. There's 3 interviews next week, 3 interviews the week after. 2 are locked in. Third one is hopefully coming. The interviews are going awesome. I'm loving that I'm getting back into interviews. I miss it. I truly do. I love talking to people, and thank heavens I can start doing that again. You know, having lived on the road for years. You know, we traveled the country, in our RV, visiting national parks, visiting family and friends all over the nation has been amazing. It's been a growing experience for my kids. They've gotten to see just the natural beauty of the world. You know, we spent a month at the Grand Canyon. And that's amazing. You know, those are amazing experiences that I wouldn't trade for anything. But I'm pretty doggone happy to be settled down so I can start getting onto a regular schedule again, which has already happened, and start having regular, places that I can record from, getting my real final studio set back up soon. It's just, oh, thank heavens. And I can start really doing interviews again. It was hard to do before, and now it's finally doable. So thank heaven. Yes, I do know Dave's Garage. Yes, we are in touch. Literally, once the interview floodgates opened, interviews are booked. We've got some interviews coming in October because of specific reasons for people's product launches and whatnot. They want to be doing them in October. I'm thinking of one in particular that I think will be a lot of fun. Most of the rest of September is all booked up already. It's going to be fantastic. And some of them, what's great about the interviews that we're doing is that some of them are small names, right? Some of them are names that you guys won't be familiar with, but people who are doing something that's really weird and really interesting, either with, something retro techy, I won't give too much away, but interesting alternative operating system stuff. And some people are just really huge names, big names, big names. And it's everything in between. And I'm loving it because the week after next, I've got 2 interviews locked in. And I'm trying to get the third one locked in. But the 2 interviews I've got locked in, one of them, you guys will see it and you'll be like, dude, Lunduke got that guy on the show? How the heck did that guy agree to do the Lunduke show? What the heck is going on right now? Like, way out of my league. The other guy, I guarantee most of you have never heard of before. But both, I think, are going to be really interesting shows, right? Very nerdy on both fronts. And so I love that those shows will be back to back. And I think it's going to be absolutely fantastic. So what I am asking is we have got to get the subscription numbers up. And here's what I want to say to this. If you are watching this right now and you do not currently subscribe to lunduke.locals.com, go do that right now. This very moment, stop what you're doing and subscribe over there. Just go get it done. It's time. We've got to get it done. For all the reasons we've been talking about so far, but also because I want to expand things a little bit here at the Lunduke Journal. Number one, I make a lot of content exclusive in order to entice people to subscribe, right? That's the whole reason that a lot of my content is exclusive. If I didn't need to entice people to subscribe, I would make all of my content free for the whole world, right? Maybe with the exception of like the occasional weirdo little live stream we do. But why not, right? If I don't need to entice people, why not release it all for free? And I think most of you would be on board with that. And so like we got Linux Sucks 2023 coming up here at the end of the month. I want to release that one for free. We are about 14 subscribers shy of being able to release, of hitting our goal to where I can just release that one for free. Because what I did is I realized that between now and the end of December, I had planned that I need to grow my total subscriber base by 300 subscribers over the course of, what is that? Almost 4 months, right? Nothing crazy, reasonable, doable growth for what I've got going on. So I thought, well, if I can get that done in just September, then I don't need to worry, at least to a certain degree, about quite as much of the exclusives, because the exclusives were used to drive those subscriptions, right? So like if I made Linux Sucks 2023 a subscription, that will drive 100 subscribers right there, right? So that's why I came up with that number. I'm like, okay, well, if I can get 100 subscribers ahead of time, then I'll just make it free for everybody, which got me thinking, if I can do that through the end of the year, if I can get that whole 300 subscribers that I need between now and the end of December, because you have to be a healthy business, new people got to come in and all that sort of thing. I'm not looking at crazy growth. I just want to be a healthy, sustaining business so I can keep doing what I do. But if I can get to that 300 line, I can start just giving the podcast away for free, which has a lot of benefits for me and for you. It's just something I want to do. So And that also means that I can simply make a public RSS feed again. Currently, there's no RSS feed for the podcast. It's just on locals.com, which works pretty well. But a lot of people would like an RSS feed, and it's kind of cool for discoverability because if you have a public RSS feed for all your podcast episodes, people just share it around. People are like, oh, the Andreas Kling and Rob Braxman episodes, those were interesting. They can just send people the link to that, and they can go listen to it, download the MP3, and have it on whatever platform they want. That's a good time. That's a good time for everybody. But in order to do that, because some of the podcasts I keep as exclusives, in order to drive the subscribers, we have to hit that line. So if you do not have a subscription, grab one. We are 14 subscribers. Last I checked, as of before I started the stream, I checked. We're 14 subscribers away from hitting the 100 mark during September, which means we're well on our way. We got about 2.5 weeks left in order to get another 200. Is that doable? Yeah, but people have to actually click the button. And if this has multiple benefits, if we hit those goals, if people subscribe either monthly or yearly, doesn't matter, just any sort of subscription, doesn't matter. I recommend the yearly. You save money. I am cheap. I'm very cheap myself. You get 3 free months if you do the yearly, so just do the yearly. It's just cheaper. But if you just want to be cheap in the moment, though, you can just do the monthly. Anyway, what was I going to say? Right, so if we hit all of those goals, here's what happens. Linux Sucks 2023 gets released for free. Every past Linux Sucks, including Windows is Awesome and Mac OS Sucks, gets released for free. Like the whole Sucks series, the Sucks anthology. I'll release it all for free. All subscribers will get a link where they can go download the MP4 file. So no DRM. They can just download the MP4 file for all of the Linux Sucks shows. Right? So you get the official HD, whatever video for all of those. And you can just archive them, put them on whatever device you want. We publish the RSS feed publicly for free for everyone, which means you can use it however the heck you want, and you can share links to it however you want. And this is possibly the most important thing, but it may not be quite as big of a deal for all of you at the moment. And it lets me go back to all of these tech journalists, to all these creators, and say, we got 300 new paid subscribers in September. Just September. And it's not like I just started this. I simply said, hey, everyone, let's try and hit this goal, and we did. That's a really compelling story. That is a compelling argument to move off. And that's in addition to all the existing subscribers, right? So then they can look at that and go, dang, those are some significant growth numbers. That's way better than the peanuts I'm getting for advertisement off of YouTube and AdSense and all that. Yeah, I'm in. That's what happens. So that's what we need to do. It needs to happen. If you haven't already do it, you jump on it. Jump on it. Yeah, the Zokru, that's right, the Sucks Saga. Jump on it. Oh, and just so you guys know, there's lots of interviews you guys are throwing out, some ideas you guys are tossing out there. I'm in contact with many people. I don't want to spoil any surprises, but let's just say some of the interviews that I've got coming up are people I've talked to before, and some of them are not. So, and yes, you know who a lot of them are. It's getting pretty good. It's pretty good. And at least one of them is way out of my league. And just so everyone's very clear about this, when I say someone is way out of my league, I've had, let's say, people like, Richard Stallman and whatnot on the show many times over the years. Stallman's not out of my league. So it's a whole heck of a lot of a bigger name than Richard Stallman. Way out of my league. I don't know how. I have an interview I don't know how I got. Well, I do know how I got it. I do know, but I'll talk about that in the show. But it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. So we've got to get to that point. Now, it's got to happen. We've got to. We've got to. I'm sorry. I've got chat going on in like 3 different things. Oh my heavens! This is fantastic. This is fun. All right. I think in the future I'll do the live streaming on Rumble, Locals, and YouTube because it's working. It's working just fine. But I think I'm not going to watch the chat too many places. Oh man, that's a lot of stuff. Okay. All right. I don't know. Ignore the chat for just a minute. So we really do need people to hop on board with that. Now, I'm going to say this flat out. When I talk about those numbers, that is across all of the Lunduke Journal Locals sites. So if anyone already has a lunduke.locals.com subscription and wants to support things, grab a subscription on nerdyentertainment.locals.com or conservativenerds.locals.com or something like that. But not necessary. If you already have a lunduke.locals.com subscription, massive digital high five, a virtual high five to you, and you're amazing. Virtual high fives make a fart noise, apparently. But if you do feel like adding in the little bit extra, the best way to do that is just to support the other arms of the Lunduke Journal. And the other arms of the Lunduke Journal are much quieter than the core lunduke.locals.com. They're focused on, not the tech. They're nerds mostly from our nerdy community, with a few extra people that just found us somehow, but focused on their own individual thing. Like Nerdy Entertainment, half the time it's about movies. Occasionally it's about some other stuff, but half the time it's about movies. And will donations count towards the new subscriptions? No. All right, so Dirt, I am not asking for money right now. I mean, I like money. Don't get me wrong, people. I like money. We all like money. Everyone likes money. But what I'm not asking for money right now, because this isn't the real core here is to get the subscription numbers up so that when I go to all the other people, I can say, all the other tech journalists and the like, I can point to those numbers, right? Because, I mean, pointing to like the one-off contributions, like what if Dirt, you're like, you know what? I love Lunduke so much. I'm going to donate $20 bazillion to Lunduke. Well, that's great. Lunduke loves $20 bazillion. But if I go to Chris Titus or anyone else and say, look, I made $20 bazillion. Well, I made it all off of one donation from Dirt. You know what I mean? Like, that's not the compelling argument. The compelling argument is how many people subscribed. So anyone who does not have a subscription to Lunduke.locals, get one. Get the cheap one. Yes, I'm the godfather of the nerd mafia. We just don't know it. Tim Apple. It says it would be great to have one sub that covers all 3, just not to have 3 drafts. There is, and I want to talk to all of you about that right now. So I haven't been talking about it too much. I will make a post about that after I end here. That's a very good point. I've had so much stuff to talk about. I haven't wanted to just inundate you guys with just a nonstop barrage of posts all day long. I mean, today alone has been 2 interviews and an article, and I'm just like, it's a lot. And I'm not done. There's so much stuff going on. But we used to have this thing that we publicized called the founding member subscription. The founding member subscription was basically a 1-year subscription to anything in the Lunduke universe, right? We have kind of the same thing now, and it's basically this. You pay one amount as a yearly on lunduke.locals.com, and then that gives you access to the other 2 locals.com sites. That's kind of how that works. So right now, it's $95 for a year. So a yearly at lunduke.locals.com. So monthly it's $5, right? Because $5, it's $5. Inflation's going up. Actually, I wanted to make it $3, but like there's like a weird like psychological thing. More people buy it at $5 than $3. And because of like fees that get added to it, $5 makes more sense. So it's $5 for monthly per site. So if you subscribed to lunduke.locals.com, nerdyentertainment.locals.com, and conservativenerds.locals.com, it would be $5 3 times every month, right? Starts to add up. If you get a yearly at lunduke.locals.com, it's $45, which means you pay for 9 months and get 3 months free. But that's just for lunduke.locals.com. Or you can do a yearly at lunduke.locals.com. Actually, technically, you can do the yearly at any of the 3 sites, and it will apply the same. But you do a yearly for $95. The field is editable. When you go in and make a yearly subscription on Locals, you can modify the field and add in kind of any number you want. You can make it $1,000 if you want to. That doesn't matter what you make it. You don't have to make it $1,000. But if anyone wants to make it $1,000, that's fine. No, it doesn't matter, right? So it's $95, and anything over $95 or $95 and up, what happens is I get notified of that, and I go in and I set 2 flags on your account that gives you full access across all 3 sites, and it's still a yearly thing. It's a cheap way. So instead of $45 for one, it's $95 for 3, which basically means you pay for 2 plus $5 and you get 3. Does that make sense? It's the cheapest way to do it if you're going to get all 3. I don't require anyone do any of this. I don't demand anyone do anything in particular, but I know I totally get where you're at. So what I subscribe to a couple other people on Locals, only a few, because just only a few. One of the ones I subscribe to on Locals is Scott Adams, because I love Dilbert. Dilbert is a great comic strip, and Dilbert isn't in the newspapers anymore. If you want new Dilbert comics, the only place they're published is in Scott Adams's Locals site. And so I subscribe to Scott Adams's Locals. He does a lot of other stuff, and honestly, I don't partake of his other stuff just because I don't have time. I don't even know what a lot of it is. I think he does like live streams where he drinks coffee in the morning or something like that. I don't know. But I love Dilbert, and he posts his Dilbert comics there, and I love it. But what I do is a yearly, because I don't love getting monthly withdraws. I don't love the monthly charges. It's just, I find monthly charges kind of annoying. I just don't know what to do. I don't know what to do in that case. But I do the yearly. I do the yearly. It makes it easier for me. There is a master directory of Locals content creators. That if I think is it explore.locals.com? It's very political though. And this is one of the things I keep talking to people about. The technology section of Locals is kind of barren. There's some gamers and whatnot, but it's kind of like there's I think I'm the largest one. And what's amazing about that is some of the YouTubers that I've been talking to, if they joined up, they would instantly be the biggest tech publication on YouTube, on Locals. I mean, my community is great. It's big. It's wonderful. It's comfy. I love it. But some of these people have bigger audiences than I do. And I just don't understand why they're not making that move. I don't understand that at all. It just doesn't make sense to me. So anyway, okay. So if you're watching this, If you do that that 3-site pack where you sign up at $95, that counts as 3 separate subscriptions. Just so you guys know how this works in the accounting. So basically what it ends up being is you have a discounted subscription for each one, and the amount gets spread among the 3 in the way I do the accounting. So you end up with a subscription to all 3 of the sites, and it counts as 3. So like we're working towards 300 subscriptions in general over the course of September. I'm not concerned about how much money per month I'm making from each subscription. I'm concerned about the number. The raw number is what's important. Doing that number without resorting to some sort of crazy sale, like pay a penny and get a subscription for a year, right? That doesn't count because that's cheating. But at just the reasonable, it's why you'll notice I'm not doing any sales right now. I'm trying to show people that we can do subscription growth with no sales. So $95 is the 3-pack, basically the triple pack of all Lunduke journaliness. $95 for a whole year. And then it just renews yearly. But what's nice is if it ever goes up, you're locked in at that price. So if I ever up at $5 to $100, if I ever turn it into a $3,000 subscription, you're already locked in at the 95, and you just keep coming in at that level. It's not going to go down in price at that point. All right, so I will make a post about that and make sure everyone knows about that, because it's not something I've been actively promoting since then. Let's see what we got here. Oh my gosh, I got so many messages. Melroy says, I can't join locals since in Europe not everyone has credit cards. So what now? I honestly don't know. That's a great question. I would love to see locals accept more forms of payment. Right now they do all their processing through Stripe and I think one other thing, but I think cards is kind of how they do it. I really don't know that there's an option. I think a debit card, or a bank card works, but I think that's it. I really do. I think that's the only option, and I don't have a mechanism to set something else up. It's entirely possible for someone to find a way to send me moolah separately, but then I have to manage your account on an ongoing basis. So I don't want to do that because that's a ton of work for me, and I want to get out. The less administration I do, the more articles and videos and podcasts I can create, the more of these interviews I can do, the more big in-depth reporting I can do. And those things all take a lot of time. So I try to get away from the administrative stuff. I try to make it really simple for you and for me. But if someone wants to donate like a crazy huge amount of money, I'll just give you like a fancy lifetime account where I never have to touch it again. But it would have to be a bit. Because I used to do these lifetime memberships, which was a great way to kind of kickstart things. You know what I mean? It helped make the Lunduke Journal possible. But we've now grown to a point where we're big enough that we don't have to do these lifetime subscriptions anymore in order to pay the bills. Now we're just trying to grow the total subscriber base, and so it's monthly or yearly now. But I would do like a lifetime thing if someone wanted to make like a crazy huge donation. Make me an offer. All right. Where's the chat here? Slowly converting to Stalinism. I can see it in the beard. Yeah, I don't like that. I like my beard. I love my beard. Sometimes my beard's longer. Sometimes it's more finely shaven and kempt and brought in and under control. But it tends to get a little bit grayer and a little bit bigger as the years go on. The mustache definitely is sticking around. I like the mustache. What can I say? All right. Let's see. What do we got here? I like to click things, I want to click things. Where are the things? Dirt likes beards. Dirt says that beards are best. Based on your picture, my dude, I believe that you do indeed like beards. Oh, this works. I am so happy that this Geek on Skates, beards or debomb.com. I couldn't agree more, my man. Beards, glasses, and Hawaiian t-shirts. And it's shorts. You can't see it, but I got my outfit. When I used to live in the Pacific Northwest where it was cold and rainy, I had an outfit. I wore blue jeans, some sort of a nerdy t-shirt, and a blazer, usually a brown like sport coat. And the reason I did that was not a fashion statement. I wore the jeans because I had goats and I did a lot of stuff outside, so blue jeans was just easier. I wore a nerdy t-shirt because most of my shirts came for free from conferences. They were swag, and that's just what I had. And I wore the blazers because it wasn't like a fashion thing. Blazers just have a lot of pockets, big, deep pockets. And so they weren't too heavy. It wasn't like a big, bulky coat, but it would keep me warm enough in the drizzly 50-degree Pacific Northwest weather. But it would have an inside pocket and two big outside pockets, and then another pockets, and then other pockets. And so I could put all my electronics and some cables and some chargers all in my blazer. And it was great. Now I live in the South. I live in the swamp. And it never gets cold. Like in the middle of the night, it's 80 degrees, right? And so I can't do that anymore. I can't wear blazers. And honestly, blue jeans just don't work anymore. So now I wear shorts, Hawaiian loose t-shirts, and flip-flops sometimes. Or I need to get a pair of Crocs, actually. My daughter picked up a pair of Crocs, and she's like, these are amazing. I can just hose them out. And I'm like, okay, now I'm sold on Crocs. Anyway, so that's how my wardrobe has evolved over time. If you were going to build a storage server business, what distro would you go with today? I don't know. Love what you do. Keep it up. You got it. I shall do that. Things are pretty good. Weren't the other two platforms also included in the lifetime sub? I just checked them out for the first time. I'm not subscribed. Do they need to be activated separately? Jordan, yes. So if you have one of the old lifetime subscriptions that I used to do, you do have access to the other ones. Or at least you can have access. They do need to be activated manually, but it's a really simple process. Toss me an email, brian@lunduke.com, and and let me know what the email address is for your accounts. Make sure you already have a free account on those other local sites, and I will go in and flag them so that you have full access. Super easy, super easy. And if anything ever goes wrong with it, you just shout out to me, and I'll hook it up for you. It's wicked easy. No big deal at all. But yes, if you have a lifetime, you have access to all those other sites. Do I still do live streams with Hartley? I haven't in a while, and I miss him. Hartley is a great dude and a good buddy of mine, but he's been super busy, and he's kind of gotten out of the live streaming podcasting game. He did that for a lot of years, and I think he just kind of got burnt out on doing it. He comes and goes from time to time, and I try and respect that. Every now and then I try and pull him back in a little bit, and I'm sure I'll get him on the show sometime soon, just to have a little hangout with Hartley. He's such a nice dude. But he's working over at Framework right now. He's kind of their main Linux guy at Framework. So he works on things like creating documentation and making sure and testing out Framework laptops running with Fedora and Ubuntu and Debian and all that other stuff. And he's doing the Lord's work, and he's doing really great. He's really doing well with all of it. And so, God bless him. Crocs give me blisters. I've never had Crocs. I don't know. Maybe it'll be a terrible experience. My daughter's like, dude, Dad, you got to try this. And I'm like, all right, why not? Again, when I was in the Pacific Northwest, I wore hiking boots. Hiking boots was the shoes I wore. Nowadays, I still wear hiking boots. No one around here wears hiking boots. Like, you'll wear work workman boots, or you wear like galoshes or something, but you don't wear hiking boots. Like no one goes for a hike in the swamp like that. Certainly not with that kind of shoe. And so I need to change up my footwear. I often wonder if I'm the only one seeing how software and tech is going. Then you come out with an audio video confirming my own experience. It's good for what sanity I might have. Well, hello. Boy, you are not alone, my man. But seriously, hello. I don't know if you have a subscription over at lunduke.locals.com, but get it. Do it. You got to do it. Do it now. Do it now. We got to get everyone. We got to get everyone signed up. We just really got to do it. Go grab it. Lunduke.locals.com. Get those subscriptions. I haven't checked to see if any have come in since we've started streaming. But before I started streaming, we got to hit 14. And then we hit the 100 mark for the month, which means Linux Sucks 2023 gets released for free. And then we still have a ways to go before we can release the public RSS feed for free, before I can afford to do it. But I think we can do it. I really do. If you pick up the 3-pack, right, for the 95 per year, that counts as 3. If 100 people do that, then we're set for the year on that, and we can just release the RSS feed. And it's not like we'll release the RSS feed for the year. We'll release the RSS feed permanently at that point. It's just that we need to get our subscriber base up to a certain level. Good release. I can see now. I can't do an Arnold Schwarzenegger impression again. I can only do it when I'm not thinking about it. Because if I'm thinking about it, I don't even know what it sounds like. Get to the chopper. See, it's wrong. It's wrong now because I thought about it. That's half of the thing with my impressions is if I don't think about it, it's either really good or hilariously bad. If I think about it, it just sounds like I'm trying to do a bad impression. I can't think about it. It just has to come out and be natural, right? The Serenity podcast was amazing. Just thought I'd say that. Just hearing him makes me want to dive into that project. Rob, dude, seriously. The Andreas Kling chat was wonderful. I really had oh my gosh, if I had a good time with the chats over the last couple of days. The Ben Heckendorn chat, it was so political, but it was so much fun. The Andreas Kling chat was just great. He does such amazing work, and he has a really good attitude. The Rob Braxman chat was a lot of fun. Like I'm really enjoying these. And this week in the interview lineup was a lot of fun for me. I felt like it was a good mix of things. Next week is similar in that regard. I think it's really good. The week after that is going to blow my brain and blow all of your brains out too. It's going to be amazing. The week after that is going to be nuts. The week after that, by the way, is going to be video interviews because there's one interview that we're going to want video for. Audio was great, but for that one, we're going to want video. So the week after next, the podcast will be a video podcast as well, a video interview. I'm really, really looking forward to that one. I live in the southeast Idaho, and I've recently been converted to Hey Dudes. Cool. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means, my man. Cryptixo says, "Hey Luke." I don't know who Luke is. My name is Lunduke. What Linux distributions are you running on your main desktop, and what desktop environment window manager is it using? Stock Debian, my man. Stock Debian. And the desktop environment changes with the wind. Right now, it is ICE Window Manager, ICE WM. It was CDE and NSCDE back and forth for a while. I've had to reload this machine a few times. But it's stock Debian. It works really easy for me. Don says, "Stop teasing us already. Not a chance. I will pre-announce this. Next week's shows, I will pre-announce either Friday or Saturday. And I'll probably do the same thing the week after. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself in case someone needs to reschedule or whatnot. But I announce what the planned schedule is on the weekend leading into it. This week, like the Rob Braxman interview wasn't in the pre-planned schedule just because we didn't have that ironed out yet. But once we got it ironed out, I just told everyone and we just did it. But everything's always in a little bit of a state of flux because once you've got a bunch of interviews lined up, you never know when someone's going to get a cold. Because Andreas Kling was originally scheduled for the week prior, but he got a cold. And so we had to bump it by a week. Worth it. And that's just kind of how that stuff goes. All right, let's see here. I am going to kill the live stream in a few minutes. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out with us. This was, in large part, this was a test to see if we could stream to all these platforms at once. And we can, and it works great. And what I'm going to do, if you're watching the recorded version of this, go get the subscription to lunduke.locals.com. Go do that. Do that right now. You got to get to the chopper. I think that was a little bit better. And go take care of that. Let's get those numbers up, because once we get those numbers up, I really do think we can get more. Thank you, Geek. It was a little bit better. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't my best. I can do better. I can do better. I can do this. But once we get those numbers up, we can get some more people to get off of big tech. And that, I think, has got to be a priority. It's got to be one of the major priorities over the next half year, the next 3-4 months, maybe just through the rest of the calendar year. We need to get some of the best tech journalists we've got their freedom. We've got to do this. And so I posted that article over on Locals. Send it to your favorite tech journalist. Let them know that I'm just available. I'm just available to ask questions of. I will be an open book. I will share with them every mistake I've ever made in this regard. I will talk to them for hours if it helps. There's no monetary incentive for me to do that, but I feel like it's important, and I want to help get some of them over to any non-big tech platform. There's a lot of options. I have made my choice about what I like, but there's a lot of options, and I want to help them get there. We can do it. We can do it. We can do it. If you are upset that you just got here and I'm about to go, has ChatGPT stopped plagiarizing me? No, and I've been documenting it, and I've got actually a fun little piece on that coming up soon. Head over to lunduke.locals.com. Go over there. Just go over there and get the paid subscription. Pick up the triple subscription, pick up the yearly, whatever. I'll post about all of those right now here in the next few minutes, and we'll rock and roll with that. It'll be totally awesome, and let's get those numbers up in part so we can release the RSS feed publicly, in part so we can release all of the Linux sucks, including the next one that's coming out at the end of this month, publicly for free for everybody, including MP4 downloads. I love downloads. And on top of all that, we can get more tech journalists over to Locals, over to heck, even just Substack, whatever. Off of big tech. It's got to happen. Otherwise, you guys are going to be able to listen to me, and I'm going to be sitting here alone. I mean, I'll have you, but all the other tech journalists would be gone, and I should not be the lone investigative tech journalist. That's not a good thing, because the only idea you'll hear, the only opinion you'll hear that's real will end up being mine. The only one that you can say, I know that one is that person's legit opinion, will end up being mine. Because if someone gets their money from the ad revenue over on AdSense and Google, you cannot, under any circumstances, believe that is definitely their opinion unless you know them personally. And that is a massive travesty considering the immense talent that is over there locked up in that ecosystem. We've got to break them free. We have to. We have to do it. It's just got to be done. It's got to be done. S. Mitchell or S. Michael asks, do you get a lot of views on other sites, or does no one really watch anymore? YouTube is dead for me. Everything is over on Locals. Everything is on lunduke.locals.com. If you're on lunduke.locals.com, you get articles and videos and podcasts galore. And there's a lot of people. My audience is bigger than it ever was when I was on YouTube. And this is something I don't know that people realize. When I was on YouTube, did I have a big audience? It was decent. It wasn't like the biggest in the world or anything. I had like 60, 70, whatever thousand subscribers. It was decent. It was decent. It's fine. But the audience size I have now is bigger. The total number of views for my articles, like, for example, are bigger right now on lunduke.locals.com than they ever were at Linux Journal Magazine, at Network World, or any other publication I have ever written for. My audience size now, my total reach, is bigger than ever. But if you stick on YouTube, you miss all that stuff. You miss all that stuff. Leandro Brady says, YouTube is crack. I'm trying to kick the edition. Rumble helps literally kick the edition. Lunduke.locals.com. No ads. No ads. No ads. No big tech. No algorithm. No nothing. Just my stuff. And the community around it, which is delightful. All right, everybody. I should go. I have some typing and some writing to do, but all of you have been fantastic. Thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for being so amazing. Thank you for being the coolest nerds anywhere. You are truly spectacular. And I hope you had a great day today. I hope someone high-fived you today. I hope someone hugged you today. And I hope you got to do something really, really nerdy today. And with that, I'm going to sign off. I'm just going to click the stop streaming button is what I'm going to do. It's going to be awesome.